Good evening and welcome to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. I'm Andrew Gus, joining you live here from Lexington Ice Arena in Lexington, Kentucky for a TSCHL matchup of a two-game series. First off tonight, Indiana Hoosiers visiting the Kentucky Wildcats. Start off on the home side of things, the 8-2-1 Kentucky Wildcats are so far 1-0-2 in the TSCHL, whereas the Hoosiers, a 7-4-0 squad, are 3-0-1 so far in the league. In net for the Hoosiers tonight will be Sammy Billis, 5-0 undefeated. Every time he's been in net, there seems to be magic for the Hoosiers. They're undefeated on Friday nights with him in the cage. We'll see if that continues tonight. On the opposite side of the ice, freshman goaltender Riley Allen will be in net for the Cats. As he played junior hockey in Colorado in the USPHL, his record is 3-1 so far this year, with a goals against average of 2.2 and a save percentage of .919. A few other remarks for around the league tonight will be Michigan facing off against Michigan State, Xavier and Ohio State, and last but not least, Miami versus Louisville. We'll have live action from you here in just a few minutes with puck drop at 11:59. And Garrett Drake and Sam Weixler will have all of the information for you tonight. Should be a great one. Go Hoosiers.
Club hockey at Indiana University is brought to you by the following sponsors: Corson Security, the Blue Blazer Events Group, and Top Flight Hockey. In front of what is quite nearly a packed house, two teams in the TSCHL who know all about each other, and both programs who went a long way last spring when it comes to the ACHA tournament. It's the Indiana Hoosiers and the Kentucky Wildcats live from the Lexington Ice Arena. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler for the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. And Garrett, a very important set of games this weekend as Indiana travels south for the second weekend in a row.
Indiana coming off a winning weekend last weekend as well, Sam. It was their first three-gamer of the season. They were able to win on Friday and Saturday, but now they're winless on Sunday, so that's something that they're going to have to try to change later on in the season. They got the Saturday situation figured out, but now the day of our Lord is going to be an issue for Indiana, but they're going to have a couple opportunities down the road, no chance. And this is a big weekend series, Sam. We got Midnight Madness. Fans are packing the house at Lexington, and I can't wait.
It's something special they do here for Kentucky Wildcats hockey. Pretty much every game is a sellout, and the theme for tonight is Taco Night. There's a taco truck outside for fans to munch on after hitting up the bars and making their way to the arena. And tomorrow night, another Midnight Madness game as well.
Yeah, we'll be right back here in the same spot at 12 o'clock tomorrow for you all as well. Hopefully we have some viewers stay up to watch the broadcast. I know it's late, especially for Halloween weekend, but if you're still up and partying, might as well throw on the old IU hockey game.
Well, the Kentucky Wildcats here at home, they have an overall record of 8-2-1. That 0-1 record being a victory via forfeit when North Carolina State traveled to this very barn, and that ended 2-2 after overtime, and they called it quits. Indiana's record, on the other hand, 7-4-0 overall after winning 2 and losing the final game of that series last weekend in Vinton, Virginia. And we do want to take a moment to apologize to the parents and other viewers who check into Indiana hockey every weekend. We had some major technical difficulties that we were not able to work out. Garrett, you and I were up until about 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday night trying to combat the issues and find a workaround, but it just wasn't meant to be, and we're glad to be back on the air for you all.
Yeah, we gave it our best fight last weekend. We were frustrated, obviously, as I'm sure most of you at home were as well, but we're back and better than ever and ready to roll.
Well, we'll take a quick break before the lights go down. The horn over to our right side rattles this stand we're on, and the players come out for the final time before the puck is dropped. It's Indiana and Kentucky live from Lexington on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. It's almost time for puck drop here in the Bluegrass State. Indiana in their white sweaters for the first time in 5 games. And the boys from Lexington, the Kentucky Wildcats, in a blackout. Black tops, black sweaters, and black bottoms. Well, as you no doubt heard, the goal horn is over to our right-hand side over here on the stanchion, a little bit of a scaffolding behind the rink. We couldn't set up behind the fans because they get pretty raucous and rowdy, so we figured the safest option would be up here in the corner, sort of like the bird's nest back in the Frank. Looking at the coach for the Indiana Hoosiers, it's Andrew Weiss in his 2nd year at the helm. And last year we've talked about it ad nauseum, Garrett. Indiana won 15 in a row to end the regular season, and 21 out of 22 after Weiss took over about this time last year.
Yeah, it was really incredible, the turnaround we saw. I know we talk about it every single week before the games, but it was just truly remarkable to see. It was right out of a movie, really.
The general manager for the Wildcats is Ryan Van Daniker, and the head coach in his 5th season is Tim Pergram. The boys call him TP. We'll send it down to ice level, where the PA announcer gives us the starting lines for both sides. A spectacle, to say the least, and a spectacle that is matched by few other teams in the ACHA. As you may or may not have heard over the loudspeaker, the netminder for Indiana, Sammy Billis, 5-0 record. And although he took a bludgeoning in a couple of appearances over the last weekend, a very strong season thus far, a save percentage of about .950. On the other side of the sheet, the netminder, the freshman, Riley Allen, has 3 wins, 1 loss, and a tie with a save percentage of .919 and a goals allowed average of .220. Garrett, this kid is a veteran, although he's just a freshman on the score sheet. He played junior hockey way out in Colorado, and he is a force to be reckoned with, immediately unseating Sam Tucker, the senior. Last year, Tucker had a save percentage of 90.7 and had a shutout as well. But a new page is turned. Indiana and Kentucky. Indiana in white sweaters from near to far on your radio dial, and the Kentucky Wildcats in their home barn here at the Lexington Ice Arena in all black from far side to near. Along the near side board, it's punched across by Michelli, and he opts for a quick change immediately. Indiana trying to play physical in a barn that is much bigger than their own. Sent across the blue line, and Whitliff will have to turn tail and rush into his own side. Cuts hard right behind the cage and goes to work, pinning a man up against the glass. Hard to see quite who's under our feet there, Garrett, but we'll do our best. Finally a breakout as O'Flaherty keeps his eyes up, zigzags and gets smacked in the leg. No call, and he stays around, trying to play it forward to McDonald. McDonald was a little bit under the weather this evening, but has appeared to be good enough to play and is going to do everything he possibly can. He had a hat trick last weekend, so obviously that cold didn't slow him down too much.
And Wex, I think the officials got caught with their eyes up the ice there. O'Flaherty looked like he got tripped pretty blatantly, but no call on the play.
Here comes a rush, one-on-one, feeding to the backside. Back down to a stick, gloved by Billis. That came off the stick of Gary Eastlack. And Eastlack, a longtime player for this side. He's a grad student who is the captain, and last year had 55 points. That led the team. Fed to the near side, chopped against the glass, right in front of the cage. Billis holds his line. A wraparound chance, centering pass gets kicked away. Another shot kicked off the leg pad of Billis, and he has been active so far. Pinned right in front of the student section. A nice Whalers jersey in the front row, Garrett, I might add.
Always nice to see Hartford represented. Got quite a bit of jerseys in the crowd tonight.
Hawkins drills a man after chipping the puck across. And I don't think you can call that a reverse hit, really, Garrett. Again, rolling all the way back towards Sammy Billis' neck of the woods. And we are through 2 minutes and change here in the first frame. Donuts and goose eggs up on the big board between these two big-time rivals. Whitliff retreats across his own blue line and sidesteps a marker. Feeds in front to Gustafson, who banks it against the boards. On the far side, Castricani a shot. Another second chance, right in front of the cage onto the far side. And more hand fighting ensues. Another bit of a twisting hit, and the puck rims around to the near side where McKay stands his ground. Tries to play it around. Castricani finds the loose puck rolling in front of him, and then to Brandenburg, who gets flung up against the windowsill. In front, Castricani gets turned around, yanked away by Whitliff. To the near point, shot through traffic. That was Warner, who had a high bar shot, nearly took someone in the nose. Again, Indiana on a sustained attack. Gustafson pulls it to himself, gets sent down to the ice, no call, and the Wildcats head the other way. Rushing into the zone appeared to be number 19, Colin Costello. Indiana easy giveaway during the change. Both sides a wholesale line.
And Sam, this game has been crazy fast so far. We haven't had a single stoppage since the opening draw.
16:45 to go, or there around here in this first period. Working this near side into the corner. And to the far side now. Centering pass goes to no one. Koken won the shot. Big hit delivered by Goodfellow. And then spinning around, delivering it right in front, off the edge of the stick. That was Trevor Metz. Indiana decides to play pitch and catch with their D-men before Jeremy pops free in the neutral zone. Feeding in front to McDonald. He gets spun around. A little bit of a stick check. And he has to give it up to a teammate. taking it away from him is D'Amico. D'Amico leading the team in points again with 23. He was second last year and was a big player on this team, earning himself some pretty high honors. D'Amico was the TSCHL Rookie of the Year last year. And considering how many good youngsters come into this league every year, that's really saying something.
And we saw him play quite well, not only while at the Kentucky games. Here we go.
Quick shot, Billis kicks it away off the toe. That was a rocket right off the stick of LaRue. Bounced high into the air. DiLorenzo has to slide between two different men. And again, Billis stops it before plopping his leather on top of it to stop the clock at 15:16 to go. And now we've got some extracurricular activity behind the cage. Warner caught up in it. The man he met was Brett Quinn. And also on his backside was Mark LaRue again. This Kentucky team last season was among the highest penalized in all of the ACHA. They once had a game last year where there were a combined 100 penalty minutes in a single 60-minute match.
Yeah, Sam, they try to use intimidation to their advantage, especially with the type of atmosphere that you have to come into when you travel down to Lexington.
A quick shot, and Billis again slides his leather on top of it. Shots on goal, 4-1, but Garrett, with how fast this game has gone already, it feels like a heck of a lot more. Face off to the near side. Jeremy cedes possession to LaRue. It's pushed forward. And DiLorenzo can't find his teammate. Now rushing the other way. A quick shot, top shelf, right over the bar. A lunging blocking attempt. That was Warner trying to get back and help out on that Brett Quinn drive. Sliding bodies around in the no man's land before it's poked free. Another big hit. Garrett, these two teams are not going to go quietly anytime they lose the puck. Chambers slides it to himself, and then it pops up into the air and bounces like a top into the corner. Simino, a shoveling center pass. Intercepted and 9-ironed all the way toward our side of the rink yet again. McKay, a backhand pass into open ice. Weaving through. Shot by Chambers to the backside and out of play, with the clock stopping at 14:24 to go here in the opening period between the Cats and the Hoosiers.
And finishing my thought on D'Amico prior to that Kentucky rush a couple minutes ago, we haven't had any time to really speak on things besides what's happening on the ice, but not only was he great against Indiana last year, but also when we were covering the TSCHL tournament, we got to see a lot of him, and he played quite well, especially for a freshman, as you were talking about.
Draw won by Kentucky, and immediately jumping on top of the puck is Riley Allen to stop the clock at 14:21. And Garrett, we know that Indiana struggles on the back half of weekends. We saw them win on Friday and Saturday and then drop the Sunday game last weekend in a really weird performance against a UNC team that Indiana beat in regionals. Kentucky wins the draw on their own end. It's swiped away by Michelli. He feeds into the trapezoid where Simino tries a centering pass. McKay, a drive, kicked away by a skate blade. Michelli fishes it out and thrusts it back into the corner. Simino rolls it to the blue line where McKay holds it. Feeds to the far point. Through traffic, a shot. Slavin gets bounced. That was Hawkins. Another shot by McKay. Glove, and he scores! Matthew McKay opens up the scoring and draws first blood. 13:49 to go here in the first period. And McKay, my goodness, what an effort for the junior. His second goal of the year after going pointless last weekend, playing 2 out of the 3 games.
No, just click on it. And then,
Well, Indiana averages over 5 goals per game. And remarkably, their offense was not the problem in that game against North Carolina on Sunday. The game ended up 10-6. Indiana had 2 netminders make an appearance. It was a start by Thompson, and then Sammy Billis came in relief. Thompson, of course, taking the loss. Centering shot bounces around Riley Allen. He never saw it. His defenseman gave him a screen. Sent all the way across, and icing is waved off as Leo Warner scoops it up in the corner. 2 black sweaters converge. And down to his knees was Castricani before rolling it all the way across. Icing would be the call, and that's what it'll be, stopping the clock at 13:25 to go in this opening frame in a 2-game series between 2 teams that are expected to go quite far when it comes to the spring.
Matt McKay getting Indiana the early lead in a hostile environment. That's really all you can ask for coming in, especially off a long bus ride and a midnight start. Getting out to that 1-0 lead. When Indiana leads, they tend to do quite well.
Burke Rule wins the faceoff for the Wildcats, and they keep it in the zone after a big hit is delivered. Boy, this crowd is going to be an impact player if Indiana doesn't keep them out of it, Garrett. We've seen noise be a factor for Indiana when they're playing at home, and it could be the inverse effect here. Castricani rolls it in front. Centering pass to the backside. Poked away. McDonald couldn't level it, and now rushing the other direction. Rule a quick shot. Fed in front, and again, that was LaRue getting banged into the boards. Picking his stick up in disgust. A drive, punched away by Billis. He never really saw it, and a centering pass that Billis has to collapse on, and the whistle was blown before the puck got stopped. My goodness, Garrett. Tyler Coskren was not happy after he had a drive that was nearly in the back of the net. And the clock will stop at 12.5 to go here in the first, with both sides changing. And Garrett, it's always tough as a referee to make that call. You want to be proactive in making sure the goalie on either side is protected. But situations like that, how are you going to react as a player knowing that you just had a great opportunity?
Yeah, and you also want to try to stay out of the box if you're a player as well. And when you get close to the goalie, you're kind of in that dangerous territory where they could easily give you a penalty if you make contact. So you just got to know where you are and try to keep your distance from the crease after the whistle, because you're going to pay for it too by punishment from the other team.
Yanked off the stick of Koken, and no, charging into the end zone of the opponents. McDonald gets spun around and goes hard onto his knee. And a big hit delivered. Again, that was O'Flaherty going down to the seat of his pants. A rush the other way, 2-on-2. A shot, Billis kicks it away. Off the stick of Koken again. And Nell smacks somebody in the mouth, giving him a face wash before Hawkins gets tripped up. Fed in front, McDonald shovels it across and allows his boys a change. 5 fresh pairs of legs onto the ice for Indiana. And the pass the width of the neutral zone is called offside. A little bit jumpy there was Jonah Koken, and the clock will be frozen at 11.5 here in the first. 1-0 Indiana thanks to a Matthew McKay goal, his second of the season, and it's awesome to see him back on the score sheet after not getting a single point in the 2 games last weekend.
Indiana so far have been really impressed with the way they've been finishing their checks, and Jack Knoll sitting on the edge of the bench. He was shaken up as he headed over there. It looked like he might have taken a stick to the stomach area trying to shake that one off.
Well, several Hoosiers are dealing with ailments of varying severity and varying type as well. Austin Williams will be out about 4 weeks, we've been told, with a lower body injury. And other guys have bumps and bruises naturally as the season progresses. You'll have that in any sport, especially a contact or a collision sport like hockey. Pushed against the boards, Whitliff keeps it in the zone and cedes possession back again. Through traffic, odd man rush, coming the other way. Quinn, the trailing man, kicked away by Billis. He poke-checked it. And now Whitliff has a chance to rush with no one back. 3-on-2, Whitliff gains the line, gets whacked, a centering pass. DiLorenzo didn't see it, and it rolls back toward Indiana's end zone. And Billis can only sit and watch as Hawkins picks up the trash.
That last play, a great job by Whitliff not to over-pursue the puck when he dumped it back in. Uh-oh.
Centering pass and scores! The team leader in points keeps on keeping on. Gabe D'Amico's 12th goal of the season, 24 points in all, and we are tied up at a tally apiece halfway through this first frame.
And Matt McKay is mad with the officials over there. He's trying to say that puck was kicked in by D'Amico.
Well, after a bit of a conference with the officials, the coaches are going to have a word with the referees as well. That's head coach Tim Pergram down there wanting a word. And it's going to be hard to tell whether that was on or off the scoreboard, Garrett, seeing as the only scoreboard in this building is right below us and off to the side. we're going to do our best to keep everything in time and correctly advertised up on our scoreboard here. And Goose, our trusty assistant, Andrew Gus, is manning the clock with authority over here. After the goal, the ensuing faceoff is won by Indiana. They're playing around in their own end. Snapped between two sticks. And thrust forward where McKay's pass is intercepted. Dangerous place to play it out of trouble. And back to Hawkins in the corner. He gets beat to the puck, and cutting back to him is Cortapella. Another big hit, and no call made to Michelli, who handles it off the glass in front of his own bench. Simoneau is able to gain the line under confusing circumstances, and then cedes possession again. Hawkins tried to square up D'Amico and level a hit, but D'Amico swiveled away.
Simoneau dumped Eastlack to the ice on that previous possession in their own zone for Indiana. Here we go.
Chambers a shot, and kicked into the corner. Michelli retrieves it and jams at it before he is nearly tossed into the Kentucky bench. A big hit, Cortapella goes down, fluttering off a skate and a stick, and Kentucky gets a change. Timmons picks it up at his own blue line, and it's chipped across by Chambers before getting a change. 9:25 to go here in the first between Kentucky and Indiana. Soccered into the center ice, but stolen off of his twig. Goodfellow goes back. A shovel shot in front. Scooped up by Billis, and then pushing and shoving as somebody took a run at Sammy B after he covered up the puck. Looked like in the middle of that action, again, was number 27, Tyler Coskren. And finally, cooler heads have prevailed. Garrett, this is going to be a long series.
No question about that, Sam. Indiana already nearing double digits in hits so far. They're already at 7, and that's what I like. Kentucky, they're playing really aggressive, but Indiana's really taken it into their mantra and their #1 goal to dominate the physicality. So far, they've done a good job of that.
Face-off won by the Hoosiers after a scuffle, and McDonald circles around. With some pace, piston chops, feeding it across the boards to O'Flaherty, who gains the zone. Fed in front, sticked away coolly by the netminder, Riley Allen. Chopped off the window and onto the far side. Rule, a centering pass. Just goes wide. Billis had a bit of luck there, and then it bounces across the crossbar. Timmons charges into the corner and wraps up his man. A quick shot right into the gut of Goodfellow, and he's able to take one for the team and for Sammy Billis. Castricani being harassed behind the cage and eventually handing it off to Griffin Timmons. Timmons roulette wheels it, and it trickles into the trapezoid and out the other side. 8.5 to go here in the first, 1 each for Kentucky and Indiana. Charging the other way, spun around, a bit of a twirl, and a good shot off the stick of Kokan, delivered. Now into the corner where Brandenburg no-look punches it to D partner Warner. And over toward Whitliff again, playing pitch and catch in their own end zone. Gustafson missed last weekend, and he plays the puck free. Castricani, it goes right between his legs. He never saw it. And Indiana's going to have to give up the possession as well as the zone. Weaving through traffic, Eastlack, a backhanded shot. Billis saves it with his shoulder and then knocks it down to collapse on top of it with 7:45 to go here in the first. And if this is the kind of hockey we're going to get all weekend, Garrett, this will be a fun one to see.
Already the 10th shot that Sammy Billis has seen today. He's saved 9 of them, but Kentucky has really put a lot of pressure on, and they're getting really close to the crease. They're making Sammy feel their presence down there early.
Face-off between Quinn and Jeremy, eventually won by the Hoosiers. There's McKay, almost had his pocket picked, and he crosses the center line, rushing in outside the circle. A centering pass right in front, jammed out by Jeremy. Puck is still loose, and then play is waved dead as more bodies were drawing and magnetizing toward the crease. It was about to be an all-out pile right by the net.
That was nearly an own goal, Sam. They were trying to play it back to the goalie, and he wasn't expecting it. Nearly went through the 5-hole. He just barely got down in time.
Kentucky was off last weekend and is coming off a home-and-home series against Miami, where they dropped both games. Miami, though, does not have a pristine record other than Indiana in the T anymore. They lost to Dayton, of all teams. Here comes DiLorenzo retreating and trying to quarterback the offense. 7.25 to go here in the first. And D'Lo scoots by a man. Now gains the zone and pushes it forward where Quinn lays chase. And then a big hit after the whistle. DiLorenzo goes down onto his shin protectors. A tough set of circumstances as D'Lo gets no called. And we are just 5 ticks over 7 minutes remaining in this frame. At the intermission, it will be our man over here to our right-hand side, Andrew Gus, who really has been our right-hand man so far, Garrett.
Yeah, we're surviving with 3 this weekend. Everybody's got a couple responsibilities they're taken care of, but can't be more proud of the boys that we've put together, and we're getting it.
Jeremy gets bagged into the corner, no call, and play continues. DiLorenzo threads it in front, off a body. A quick shot by Goodfellow, second chance by Slavin. A big 5-alarm save by the netminder. Riley Allen laying out and pushing it away. Play still continues behind the net. Allen craning around the post to see what's going on. Timmons, a shot through, breaks a twig, and somebody loses half of their stick onto the far side of the ice. Timmons reaches forward and tries to keep the play going. Instead, Jeremy lets it flop off of his twig, and Indiana gets a quick change on the rush. Here comes Quinn, a quick shot kicked away by the right leg of Billis. Into the corner on the far side. Whitliff trying to play his zone defense, wraparound chance. D'Amico's shot nearly goes near side. A second shot goes off the tuchus of Chambers and back into the near corner. 6 and change to go here in the period. Shot through a leg. Chambers had to help his netminder out. Billis didn't see it. Leo Warner really harassing his man, and now we've got a delayed call onto the ice, so Allen will head to the bench, but not for long. 5:51 remaining on the clock, and we will have our first special teams opportunity of the night. Kentucky on the power play this season, 37%, 19 for 51. And boy, that is a stark contrast to Indiana's power play, Garrett.
It looks like they're taking Leo Warner to the box as of now. It took a minute to sort everything through. So it's going to be a power play for Kentucky, as you mentioned, Sam.
Well, Indiana, when they are down a man, surprisingly, Garrett, are a very strong team. They are 93% on the penalty kill or thereabout and have scored 3 shorthanded goals. Through the first 2 or 3 weekends for Indiana, they had more shorthanded goals than they did power play goals. And if that is not an anomaly, I don't know what is, Garrett.
This whole night is an anomaly, Sam. Just incredible what we're seeing right now, and we got a good game and packed house, and it's past midnight.
Well, Garrett, back when you and I were in high school, you're a year younger than me, obviously, we always used to say it's not Friday night if there's not some drama, and there is definitely going to be some drama here at the Lexington Ice Arena. 1-1 the score if you're just joining us. Matthew McKay opened things up, followed by Gabe D'Amico, last year's TSCHL Rookie of the Year. Kentucky wins the draw on the power play. Fed to the far side, there's Quinn. Thinks about it. Eastlack circles around and surveys his options. 5-on-3 it appears now, as Indiana just has 3 men protecting the net. Shot right in front. Billis goes down to a butterfly and collapses on top of it. Big jam hit as McKay sends his man onto his wallet. Whistle's blown, and we may have a trip.
Yeah, it looks like Whitliff and Warner are in the box. I didn't catch that at first.
Well, case in point, there's some drama for you, Garrett. Believe it or not, Indiana did score 2 shorties last year during a 5-on-3. They had a couple weird breaks and some odd man rushes during a change, I believe against Dayton, Garrett, if I'm not mistaken.
Sometimes it's a lot easier for teams to break down defensively when they're being so aggressive to score on a 2-man advantage.
Jammed in front, Billis stands his ground. Eastlack through traffic. Billis swallows it up and then looks behind his legs. Billis gets bowled over and the cage comes loose. Goal is waved off. I don't think it even touched the crease, and now McKay's getting into it. Matthew McKay, not one to shy away from a fight or a verbal altercation. He missed the middle match in last weekend's series, showcase rather. After a bit of a scuffle in the first game, he was asked to sit in a new rule in the ACHA. If you get a game misconduct and a DQ, then you must sit for the following game, sort of like a red card in soccer, Garrett.
Yeah, he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, which in that instance the cookie jar was the face mask, but he had to serve his DQ for that one on Saturday, and he's back now and looking to avoid another one of those.
Well, it's easy for a Wildcat to sink their claws in. I don't know what a Hoosier's going to grab onto. McKay still onto the ice, fires it all 200 feet diagonally, and it wraps around the boards where Allen stands it up. Under 5 to play, 2-man advantage still in favor of the Wildcats. As we mentioned, a very strong power play, 37% thus far. Eastlack tucks it behind the net, where it's met by Quinn. He turns tail and fires right into the center of the slot. Shot through traffic. Billis can't get to it, and they score! Gabe D'Amico, the second goal of the night for that young man. 13 goals on the season. He leads the team now, taking the tie from Brett Quinn, also with 12. And boy, this is going to be a raucous crowd. 2 straight goals for Kentucky after Matthew McKay opened the scoring up early. Power play goal for the Kentucky Wildcats, and it is still a 5-on-4 in their favor. Sent all the way down the sheet. No longer a 5-on-3, but a 5-on-4 as previously stated. Chopping it against the boards was Michael Supan. Tucked around, Mulkern dodges the hit and feeds it to Cortapella, who shovels it no look into the corner. Timmons meets a marker, and it's pushed free again. Cortapella works the blue line to the high slot. Feeds to the far point, where it's chucked against the boards. Right in front, centering pass goes right between the legs of Supan. And now some more pushing and shoving as Timmons comes to lock horns with Michael Supan right in the crease. And boy, this has to be nerve-wracking if you're Indiana, still down a man. Under 4 to play in this first period, and the momentum has shifted firmly into the hands of the home team.
Indiana getting outshot by 10 right now by my calculations at 16-6, and really Kentucky's taken over this game completely, as you mentioned.
Cortapella loses the draw, but then tries to win the puck back. Before Hawkins, it manages to rip it away. Fed into the center, and we are back to even strength, 5 aside. And the whistle blows with 3:42 to go here in the first. So Indiana manages to kill off one of the power plays, but the other one they succumb to and surrender a goal. Gabe D'Amico, Garrett, is a guy that any team would love to have. First 5 games of the regular season last year, 11 points, nearly 2 points a game, starting his college career. Fed behind the net, Indiana on the attack for the first time in a little bit now after that kill. Pops up and right over to Cortapella. He tries to feed it to his teammate. Off to the side was Jackson Good. He gets his pocket picked, and DiLorenzo on an odd man rush. Offside called as Slavin was a bit too eager. And 3.5 to play now in the first. Indiana trailing for the first time tonight.
And the crowd really starting to get into it here now that Kentucky has the lead, and the physicality is still a big factor. Indiana with 7 hits, Kentucky with just 3, so it has calmed down a little bit since the beginning of the game, but both of these teams are flying around the ice right now for a midnight game.
Indiana wins 56% of the draws they take, and tried to win the draw there before misplaying it, and Whitliff plays his man into the glass. Fed in front by Rule, chopped down off the side of the twig, and all the way to the far side of the ice. Played around, O'Flaherty drops a man along the boards. Fed in front, McDonald trying to jam at it. And again, O'Flaherty down to his shins. Stolen away on the far side. Linesman jumps over it, and Whitliff feeds into no man's land through the center circle and through the circle on the far side. Swinging his stick at it, charging in, was O'Flaherty. Back behind the cage, Riley Allen standing straight up as Mulkern trying to help out. Yanking it free. Now toward Underwood. He sends it all the way across the sheet, and icing is the call with 2:29 to go here in period number 1.
It's going to be interesting to see how close our estimate on the clock is once we get down to the final minute here. We can't see the scoreboard from our vantage point, so 2:29 is what we're going with right now, and we'll see how close we get, Sam.
It's like the yellow line in football. They say it's approximate, and obviously they've got fancy high-tech stuff in the NFL, but it's approximate, and we are going to make do with what we can. So the face-off to the far side, the glove side of Allen, and Indiana is stymied in the circle. Knocking it away and punching it off the glass. On a rush, Rule a shot just past the far boards. Roulette wheeling all the way to the far side again, where Rule charges in. Now, again, onto the puck is Koskren. Shot through and poked on a deflection. Centering pass, Billis somehow collapses on it. It slid right into his leg and stayed put. So just a few ticks over a pair of minutes to go in the first period.
That shot by Rule drew iron on its way by. We could just hear a slight ding as it hit the boards. And Kentucky already at 18 shots. They're close to dropping 20 in the first period. Indiana still with just 6.
A swing and a drive. Chambers went down to block it with his knee. A vicious shot may have taken a bite out of him, and the second chance goes past Billis's shoulder. That was a heck of a shot by Tim Burke, who is a senior from Northbrook, Illinois, and an assistant captain. Michele backhand pass through traffic is intercepted. Some serious chaos in the slot. Kentucky really stifling Indiana's attack by holding everything up in the middle. Michele absorbs a hit by 2 different men. He gets sandwiched, but is able to keep the puck going. Right in front, bounces up high off the cage and into the corner. Pops in front of the Kentucky bench, and Whitliff goes down to his knees. Icing waved off with 1 minute remaining in this period. Puck slung behind the crease. Riley Allen letting his defenders do the work. Kentucky skater blows a tire. Hard to see who it is on the far side. He's a little worse for wear, slowly making his way and meandering over the bench. Brandenburg keeps his eyes up, tries to pump it against the boards, but his teammate wasn't looking. That was Castricani right in front of it. Whitliff sets up shop and feeds a thread the needle pass into the far side. Castricani gets upended in front of the scorer's table. And more sword play in front of the table as well. Again, bouncing in front of the Indiana bench. Warner slides in front of it, gets chopped in the leg, and Brandenburg has to pull the puck free. Kicked back into the Kentucky defending third, where it's airmailed all the way to Sammy B, who plays it to Whitliff. Finally, where Gustafson's able to clear it. Brandenburg chops at it, but can't hold on to possession. And that's how the first period will come to a close. At the end of one frame, it's 2-1 in favor of the home team, Kentucky Wildcats, here on Taco Night at the Lexington Ice Arena. Shots on goal, a mammoth 18 shots for Kentucky and 6 for Indiana. Garrett, any final thoughts before we send it to a break in this first period?
Yeah, it was a crazy beginning to this game, and both teams with high energy so far. Indiana came out strong, but they got punched in the mouth there at the end of towards the last half of the first period there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come back out in the second. They're going to have to get alive if they want to try to win this game and get out to a good start this weekend.
We'll send it to a quick break. And when we come back, that's in the flow of the game and everything else here from Lexington. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler for the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. I'm Andrew Gus, joined alongside Garrett Drake. Garrett, the Hoosiers down 2-1 after 20 minutes in a very loud and rowdy barn. And remember, we've got 14 freshmen on this team. This is a completely new atmosphere for almost half the team. Tell us what you thought for the first period, what went through your mind there.
Yeah, speaking on the freshmen, if they haven't figured out what ACHA hockey is, tonight's definitely a perfect example for them. It's midnight. We're in a really good college town, University of Kentucky. Crowd's packed, as you can see behind us. So far, it's been a great game. Indiana, they were really physical at first, and then Kentucky kind of tried to take that over a little bit. Indiana still leading in hits, though. They just got to get some more pucks on net, but Kentucky's done a good job of really pushing them out of the zone and back towards the blue line, so they've just got to try to find different ways to get inside and, get close.
You're right. On the Matthew McKay goal, we saw a lot of screen up in front. There was traffic in front of the net. There was absolutely no way the goalie could see that shot coming through. I just think the Hoosiers have not had a chance to really set up their Hoosier offense at all tonight. They've not really spent much time. It's been breaking it out or in the neutral zone. I think after one period, they'll go back to the room right now, discuss how to calm down, calm the nerves. And remember, you're down 1 out of 6 periods so far for the whole weekend. Lots and lots of time left. So talk to us about, they got 5 more periods here at the same kind of atmosphere, same barn. What do they do to prepare for that?
They got to have a quick memory, as you mentioned, just forget everything that happened. And we know Sammy Billis is great at doing that. He gave up 2 goals, but he may not give up another one for the rest of the game with the way his mindset is. So he just always goes on to the next play, and the rest of the team kind of has to follow with that same mindset.
And you also have to remember, just to his right, he takes one look to the right, and all of a sudden there's a whole student section who is over the glass piling, yelling he sucks and whatever else they're saying. But the next period, he'll be down the far side, so it should be nice and quiet over there. And we'll join you back here live for period 2 when the Zamboni's finished. For Garrett Drake, I'm Andrew Gus on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network for the start of period number 2 from Lexington. I'm Garrett Drake alongside Andrew Gus, bringing you the next 20 minutes of action in this tilt. Kentucky currently leading 2-1. Indiana scored the first goal, but then it was 2 quick ones by Gabe D'Amico to put Kentucky up 2-1. And Andrew, earlier in the first period, we mentioned the physicality on the intermission report, so it's going to be interesting to see how bruised up both of these teams get today. I would expect it to be quite a bit. And the opening faceoff controlled by Indiana. They can't get through the neutral zone as Kentucky dumps that puck in behind Sammy Billis, who's now at the far end away from the student section. And this is going to go all the way down for an icing, so that's how we kick things off.
And just again, as we said in the intermission show, G, not really much of Hoosiers doing their Hoosier offensive style. Starts with a defensive zone. They can't break the puck out just like that. Then the first 20 seconds of the period, reset right here and get the breakout going.
Indiana wins the face-off in their own zone, so they're able to escape the icing there. And then they turn it over, a huge hit right in front of the crease right there, sending a man down. It looks like that was Burke Rule to the deck. And now Andrew Chambers with the puck. He gets dragged down from behind, and that's an easy penalty call. So Indiana's going to be going to the power play here.
And this could be just what the Hoosiers need at this point in the game, right at the start of the second period. Go up a man for 2 minutes. Maybe take some energy out of this crowd here tonight. We'll see. The Hoosiers' power play has gotten a lot better the last few games, and especially when they're, trying to get some more shots on net. It seems like the other team's getting more and more aggressive the way that they've changed up their power play, and we've been seeing a few more 5-on-3s, G. Have you noticed that as well? Lots of more time, more space, and more opportunities. Can't complain about that.
Jack Noel gets whistled for the penalty, so Indiana to the man advantage as they win the faceoff. Whitliff sends one on that goes right into the chest of Riley Allen right there. We get a stoppage with 19:17 to go on our approximate game clock. As you mentioned in the first period, we cannot see the scoreboard, so we're going off guesses here. And it was pretty close in the first. We were about 15 seconds off from our calculations. Nice job, Andrew. The goose is loose. Whitliff able to control the puck back in his own zone. Then they give it right back, but it's just dumped back in all the way down to Billis. And we get a whistle.
I wonder if that was offsides and the shot on net sends it all the way back.
That's what it looks like they're going to do here. So that'll benefit Indiana.
Actually, it looks like one of the referees made a ill call. They're going to stick it back to center ice. A little mistake at midnight from one of the Zebras. I'm sure this is a lot later than they're normally up, so
yeah,
can't give them any.
It's a late night for all of us. Off the draw, Kentucky trying to kill some time off this penalty. That puck goes flying into the crowd, and somebody's got a souvenir.
Yeah, you're right about that. I saw Kentucky's Twitter page is showing they're selling the pink logoed pucks this week. Actually, all their home games this month for October for breast cancer. You see a lot of UK pink jerseys around too. It's a nice thing to do.
Absolutely. The face-off won by Kentucky right there, and they just dump it all the way back. Sammy B comes out and leaves it off for Whitliff. Henry Whitliff leaves it off. Jeremy swooping through the zone. He comes in, shoots one right into the chest, and saved by Allen.
First shot of the period for either team, and on the power play, not a bad shot, but you also hope that you'd set up the offense a little bit more.
So that'll do it for the Indiana power play as well. Actually, there is still a bit of time left. And the face-off won in Indiana's zone, in Kentucky's zone rather, and taken by the Wildcats. That one goes high up on Billis as he catches it standing up to freeze the puck. Gotta imagine the penalty's almost over.
Yeah, and the Hoosiers have had, one rush, and that's just been a result of one shot right to the breadbasket. Again, still have not set up their power play.
That one rush just came off Jeremy taking it in himself. McKay able to win the faceoff right here. And they give it away in their own zone. A shot goes right into the chest of Billis. Thankfully, that wasn't a little further to the right, or it could have been bad news.
They're going to just completely change power plays and send them out there, and maybe for the best. Get some fresh legs out there. Still, the Hoosiers just do not seem to be themselves so far tonight. Just need to settle down and just play their game. That's all they can do at this point.
Kentucky had 2 skaters on the ice for a moment. Now 2 more come on as the faceoff is won by the Hoosiers as they go behind their own net. Whitliff goes between the legs and he turns it over. They're getting some risky passes here, and Kentucky trying to take advantage. Whitliff swooping in. Centers one, and it was just right off the stick of O'Flaherty and went wide. A good centering pass by Whitliff. He had the right idea there. Into the corner they go. Michelli comes out with the puck. McDonald dumps it off. Michelli off the boards. Jeremy. Whitliff had that one deflected, and it goes past the stick of Michelli, and Kentucky is able to clear. And bodies colliding at the other side. We've got a Kentucky player down. It's going to be Alec Rakitic, and it looked like O'Flaherty was guilty.
It looks like they're going to take them both.
And it looks like we might have a high stick DQ coming for O'Flaherty. They're letting him stay in the box, it looks like. It looked pretty intense, but Jack O'Flaherty takes a seat in the penalty box.
Yeah, we'll see what they bring about this.
We said it was going to be a game of oddities here at midnight, and O'Flaherty might have caught a break there. It was Rakitic who took the hit there, and he was down. He dropped like a sack of potatoes, but he was able to get up pretty quick. Usually that should be an automatic ejection by rule, but a fortunate break for the Hoosiers so far, it seems like.
You know, I think it's because he kept holding on.
The net comes dislodged there as Castracani gets taken down on his way to the net.
I was saying I think there was no way for O'Flaherty to actually get off of the dog pile he was in and trying to step up. It did not seem like it was an intentional stick wave towards the face, so that could be the reasoning behind that. But
Gabe D'Amico was trying to come onto the ice right there, but the official wouldn't allow the change after the net became dislodged. And it looks like Castracani might have got dragged down on his way to the net there from behind.
And it's only going to get more physical from this point on.
And it's going to be a race for the puck here. And Timmons able to cut off a man momentarily. He kicks it forward, and a shot on goal goes wide. Now a battle for the puck behind the Indiana net, and coming out with it is Goodfellow. Castracani will calm everybody down for a bit. Him and Goodfellow play pitch and catch, and now Timmons has it. Timmons sends one on that gets deflected easily by Allen and goes out of play off the netting.
Gee, shots only 2-2 at this point. It's been a slow start to the period. There's still lots of energy, as we said. But, you know, you'd love to see some more shots if you want to get yourself back in this game. It's only 2-1, so very close, but see the way this game's going, it could be a very clear leader sooner or later.
Yeah, Kentucky was really letting it fly in the first period. They got all the way up to 18 shots on goal, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops as we reach the latter half of this period, where there's still 16 and a half minutes to go. That one gets deflected towards the Kentucky net. DiLorenzo gets run into by a couple of Wildcats, and here they go the other way. D'Amico Shoots one that goes off. Billis, the puck is still out there. Unfortunately for Indiana, they deflect it away. Gabe D'Amico has both of the Kentucky goals if you're just joining us. Indiana had a 1-0 lead, and then he added 2 to give the Wildcats a cushion. That backhander by DiLorenzo gets deflected, and D'Amico with the puck now. He flips that one up. Glove down by Hawkins. And right out in front, D'Amico nearly had the hat trick. And we may have seen some hats fly onto the ice if that puck went in with how many people are here. DiLorenzo leaves it off. Jeremy shoots one deflected. DiLorenzo out front, couldn't handle it. And another shot got blocked away right there by Allen. It looked like DiLorenzo might have had a shot for a rebound opportunity, but he couldn't handle the puck.
So we return back to 5-on-5 action.
Chambers swooping through. He shoots one that gets deflected out of play, and it hits off the back wall and may have got a piece of a fan and another souvenir.
It's like an MLB baseball game, the amount of people running up there trying to find that loose puck.
Somebody's going home happy.
And I'm assuming that happens a lot of these games, how low the net and glass are. See a lot of pucks fly out of here, even almost as much as the Frank.
The clock on our broadcast currently reads 15:01. So about 5 minutes through the period here. Indiana unable to keep the zone, and Warner has to go all the way down to chase it. Breaking through is Semino. He gets ran into at center ice as Michele hits the deck. Whitliff gets slammed into the board there. The stanchion, if you will, by the near corner. Warner has that shot blocked out front. A nice play by Tyler Koskren right there. Warner holds the zone over to Whitliff. Warner flips one on that goes over the crossbar. And out in front, the puck goes where it's battled for. And Castor Kane wins it. Michele rips one that goes wide. And fresh off the bench, Goodfellow kicks it to himself. Semino takes a hit as he heads to the bench, and now Indiana's still able to keep the puck in. Finally, Kentucky escapes. That one dumped into the zone and pursued by Burke Rule. Timmons tried taking it himself, and they're going to get caught offside. So we'll have a face-off.
I like the thought there, Timmons. He made a few looks like he was going to make the pass, just kept skating himself. Actually opened up an extra lane for him to go. Sadly, it looked like Brandenburg was offside by a foot or two, stopping that play. I'm feeling something from this line tonight. They've had the most energy, I think, out of all of our lines, so maybe this will be the breakaway shift. We'll have to see.
They've been buzzing, no question about that. So we'll have to keep an eye on that once they touch the ice, and the face-off won by Indiana, as Jeremy usually does. Jeremy swoops in, backhander goes right off the chest of Vallon, and he's able to cover. Having more collisions at the end of plays here. The crowd seemed to have calmed down a little bit here in the period. I think they're getting restless just like the rest of us. Still got a long way to go in this one too. Kentucky breaking away with the puck, a shot on Billis, and it goes right into the 5-hole, but he's able to get the blocker down and stop that one right in between his legs.
Now looking down at the face-off chart, it does seem like the Hoosiers have had a lot more faceoffs in the Kentucky Wildcat zone, meaning they're spending more time down here, which is a great thing, something we were hoping to see. And that's a good start to getting more shots, is being in the opponent's zone more.
It's currently 1:03 Eastern time as right off the faceoff, a shot on net taken, and Billis, what a save! What a save by Billis! My goodness. The net came out, but the puck was still dribbling, and he had to dive forward with the glove and cover it.
And you're going to have to wonder what the referees are discussing, because I personally think that I saw someone pushing that net towards the end boards there, trying to knock it off the post, but we'll have to see if the referees saw that same thing or not. And to me, it's looking like they're not, which is a great sign if you're a Hoosier fan.
Billis looks like he made a diving catch in baseball right there, trying to keep that puck out. And now the other way, here comes McDonald. Right into the chest it goes. Out front, it gets blocked away. McKay blows a tire there, and now Indiana loses possession. Billis saves that one, rebound. Again, it goes wide. We get a stoppage here with 12:22 to go in the second period. And a couple of crazy sequences right there after not much action. Things are starting to heat up. Whitliff, saved by Allen. He got that one with the leg. Whitliff able to chase the puck down. Backhander, now Michelli coming up. He dumps it into himself and looks for reinforcements. That shot gets blocked off the stick of Chambers. And Indiana unable to keep it. Eastlack puts on the brakes, fires one that goes wide. That one hit off the side of the net, it appeared, and now Simoneau works the other way. DiLorenzo has that one poked away from him. And now in the middle of a change, here comes Eastlack. He shoots one right past Billis, but it was wide of the net. Another opportunity gets blocked out in front. Nice play by Goodfellow. And the net comes out once again, it appears. And Leo Warner looks like he just picked up a penalty after that one. In the far corner, he got his hands up in the face area.
And that's just not being disciplined there.
And Warner's been doing that all game, trying to get in the face of the Kentucky players after the whistle, and the officials probably let it go the first few times, but they told him they've had enough. So it'll be a power play for Kentucky here.
And a costly time, too. Seems like Kentucky's starting to get it back a little bit, starting to have more energy. And they've had a few odd man rushes in the Hoosiers zone. The Hoosiers are just not getting back in their own defensive zone and protecting Billis, leaving him out to dry.
Goodfellow battling for the puck in the near corner. Up top at the blue line. Mulkern sends one over. They center that. Billis might have deflected it behind the net. And now Kentucky has to retreat. Stick lift and a good play by Brandenburg. Here he comes. Backhander goes right into Allen, and we get a whistle.
When we say after the whistle and you see no physical contact, you can definitely hear the mouths of both teams chirping back and forth at each other. It's like a bunch of birds going back and forth.
Kentucky able to win the face-off in their own zone, and now they'll go to work. Eastlack loses the puck, and Jeremy able to control it. And McDonald's going to be caught off sides there. So we'll go to the other end for a face-off. 10:34 to go, about halfway through the period. Garrett Drake and Andrew Gus here at the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network from Lexington, Kentucky. Midnight Madness, as they call it. Kentucky wins the draw. Cross ice pass, they shoot one that gets deflected. Nearly reached Billis, but it was blocked out front. Icing is waved off on that one. Now D'Amico plays it over. Tim Burke rings that one around to the near side. And Indiana, if they can get this puck, might have an opportunity for something. Simoneau, Chambers shoots, the puck is still loose. And they got a shot off the cross pass from Simoneau to Chambers, and now it's a 2-on-1 the other way. And they score. It's Gary Eastlack, the graduate, and he gives Kentucky a 3-1 lead. Indiana had a 2-on-1 coming this way, and then they gave up a 2-on-1 break the other way, and it leads to a goal.
The Hoosiers just do not seem to have much life at all right now. I mean, I know the crowd's going, score's going against your way, but you got to get back on your horse and get back going. So Gary Eastlack and Gabe D'Amico with all the scoring for Kentucky thus far, and they are their proven leaders. Here's another shot that goes wide. That was nearly goal number 4. Gustafson loses possession, and now coming the other way, working his way up the ice for Kentucky. That's Burke Rule. Koskren chases it down. And now here come the Wildcats. Nice defensive play there made by, I believe that's Warner back on the ice after the penalty. Billis dodged a bullet there. It looked like they had a one-time opportunity that hit the foot of the stick. Or the heel, if you will. And that one would have been offside, so Brandenburg forced to dump it in as Indiana gets some fresh legs. Indiana's had more opportunities so far this period, Andrew, but just not quality looks. No, you're right about that. And they're all trying to do too much. I think on that goal there, the third one, you could give that on. We had a 2-on-1 going the other way. The whole squad wanted to go all forwards in the zone. They got caught flat-footed going the other way. And next thing you know, a 2-on-1 back against you, and Billis again, no hope, no help. And I guess you could say no hope too.
DiLorenzo sends one on that goes wide and out of play.
We've seen the Hoosiers miss a lot of quality opportunities, shots just on the end boards. They've really not been doing a great job getting their shots on net like usual, even if it's somewhere a piece of the net or a piece of the goalie is better than completely missing in case for a rebound.
Kentucky wins the face-off in their own zone. A big hit by DiLorenzo sends his man flying into the boards. They got to get back the other way, though, as Warner does a good job lifting the stick right there. Jeremy, we get a whistle here. 7:49 is what our clock reads right now, so that's the time that we will go with. crucial for Indiana to try to get at least one goal in this period to get back in it, give yourself a shot in the third. But so far, Kentucky, ever since really halfway through the first period, has just taken over all the energy in this game.
That's something the Hoosiers are normally born with, is having energy all throughout the game, being a really fast team, a skilled team. As I said earlier, they just don't seem to have it tonight.
DiLorenzo leaves it off. Now D'Lo back across. He sends that one on net that gets blocked away out in front. Colin Holtz was waiting on that one. Shot goes right into the chest of Billis, and now the puck goes behind the net. And Indiana will work the other way. Big hit by Slavin, nearly sent the man right there, Colin Holtz, into the Indiana bench. Hawkins centers one. McDonald is there, and they score. It's Jeremy. 2 rebound opportunities, one by McDonald and the second by Will Jeremy, and Indiana has cut it to 1.
And just like that, that's what we talked about, the speed, the energy, and who's they come with? Number 29, Will Jeremy. He's done it every time at every critical moment the Hoosiers have needed. He steps up again.
He had 2 hat tricks last weekend in the 3-game set that Indiana had, and he nets another goal here today. He now has 12 on the season, I believe, and just an incredible display of offense that he's shown thus far.
And then assist to Tommy McDonald, who did a great job there on a 2-shot opportunity himself. He put one right on net and then got his own rebound, put another one, and sitting back door was Germs, who plugged it away.
We just talked about how important it was for Indiana to get one, but Kentucky knocking on the door right here as well. We've got a man down right next to Billis. Off the draw, Indiana able to gain possession. Down to about 6.5 minutes remaining in the period. Kentucky still holding the zone. Behind the net, centering pass, nobody was there. Now here's one sent on, blocked out in front and gloved down. A nice play to get that one out of harm's way by Hawkins. Michelli centers one that was looking for Semino, but he overskated it a bit. Eastlack tries dumping it into himself, but Matt McKay is able to cut him off.
And the arm goes up. That looks like the Hoosiers will be on a power play.
I'll tell you what, Kentucky's been doing a good job acting on some of these calls.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Right when the Hoosiers had something going their way, the brick wall is put in their way.
So it's a penalty on Semino for Indiana, but it's got to be roughing on both of them, right?
Looks like they called Sim for a slash and then a rough going in favor of Kentucky. And they should cancel out, I believe, for 5-on-5, but we'll see. Maybe not. 4-on-4.
Because the original penalty was on Kentucky.
Yeah.
And then Semino came in with the slash. So it looks like it'll be 5-on-5.
The Hoosiers have 4, and Kentucky's got 5 for the moment. Take that
Now
back. That's
4.
a 4. There we go. They figured out some simple math.
Indiana wins the faceoff, but then they give it away. Whitliff lifts the stick. Fortunate break there for the Hoosiers off a nice play by Whitliff. At the blue line, they send one in that gets deflected, and Billis able to gobble that one up. And now again we have pushing and shoving going on, and punches thrown.
Yeah, punches thrown one way, and no penalties for Kentucky. How about that? I mean, every single play that's been in front of Billis, if you've noticed, G, there's always been a Wildcat standing in the blue paint. Like, he's always had at least one skate in there. And I'm sure Billis is getting annoyed with that, and I imagine the Hoosiers are too, trying to clear him out, trying to defend their goalie. Next thing you know, one punch is thrown. And
Indiana hasn't been letting it fly, but they've been picking up the penalties. Jeremy chases that one down, and it's covered by Allen. A shot off the faceoff taken by Jeremy that goes wide. So we continue the 4-on-4 action. Underwood puts on the brakes. That one got deflected, but they call an icing. So Indiana will have to go all the way back to their own end here. 5 minutes to go. Both teams just living their life right now. Final 5 minutes of the period. And Kentucky wins the draw. Centering pass deflected out front, and Indiana able to get it out. Now the puck is dumped back in. Leo Warner behind the net. It's a one-goal game here in Lexington off the deflection by Will Jeremy off a rebound, and this one's going to be offside.
Unfortunately, the Hoosiers almost got caught again. If that was not blown off, that would have been another hot man rush going towards Billis. We've got to find a way to start cutting down on those opportunities.
Now the crowd getting into it a little bit over there. They're getting out of their seat for the first time in a while. Indiana controls off the face-off, but they give it away. McKay reverses track and now goes the other way. Swooping in, Castor Kane. And he gets run into, and that one is gobbled up by Allen as again bodies colliding in the crease. That was a nifty move there by Castor Kane, but just didn't elevate the puck.
It sure was. I mean, if he would have given a half a second more, so he had D'Lo there coming behind him too on his tail. Could have been a good look for a drop pass, but I like the move he made, and I think that getting a shot on net there was better than completely missing the net, so we'll take it.
McKay, back to Castor Kane. He gets crashed into the boards and pressed up there. McKay flings one on. Allen gobbles it up and gets the whistle. 4:10 to go on our game clock. Period number 2 in Lexington. Again, we'll be right back in this same spot tomorrow at midnight. So first thing Sunday morning, if you will. Centering past Jeremy nearly had another one. And that would have tied things for Indiana. Gustafson shoots in Allen, able to gobble that one up with the glove. Jeremy was right there for the rebound, but Allen held on.
And Gustafson, who's been quiet tonight, had a great opportunity there in that shift, setting up 2 great opportunities. They didn't capitalize, but him and Jeremy together on a 4-on-4 with lots of time and space. That's a recipe for success, if you ask me.
Kentucky able to control possession, and leaking out, they find a shot deflected out front. That looked like it might have been offside. Another one knocked away by Billis. From the blue line, they fling one on that deflects off Billis up high as he stands up for that one. Bit of chaos breaking out here in Lexington. That one off the pad of Billis. And a rebound opportunity was there, but no shot. Three minutes and 10 seconds to play in period number 2. Warner just dumps that one in. Chambers loses his stick and has to go pick it up. Now Kentucky coming the other way. They've got numbers. Cross ice pass in. Did Billis get that? My goodness. What a save.
Wow.
Sammy Billis. I was waiting for the goal horn to go off, but Billis had the puck.
I mean, what do you even say at that point? But thank you, Sammy B. Because what happens? Another odd man rush, G. Another one. They've got to find a way to stop letting these happen. Way too many opportunities.
That was another diving catch right there. A Gold Glover. Sammy B. My goodness. Keeping Indiana in it. That puck deflects out of play. Only a few seconds running off the clock there. .244 to go on our approximate game clock. Once we reach the second intermission, Andrew Gus will have our traditional intermission report as again the puck deflects into the same corner that we just saw it go out at. They might have to extend the netting down there a little bit.
Call that deja vu.
That shot sent on, goes wide off the stick of Rakitic, who took the high stick from O'Flaherty earlier. Whitliff throwing his body around to try to dislodge players from the puck. Two minutes and 12 seconds on our unofficial game clock. And this is going to be an icing against Indiana, so we'll go back to the other end. Frustration starting to show a little bit, but they're still only down by a goal. Quite a bit of shots we've seen this period. Indiana has 20 and Kentucky with 17 currently. The hits just keep on coming. Indiana had 10 in the first, already up to 17 here in the second. And the physicality we mentioned, we thought it would step up, and so far it has.
They've done a great job getting more shots to the net, as we mentioned in the intermission, what they needed to do. I think just cut down the odd man rushes and be in really good shape.
Working the other way, Chambers finds Michelli. Michelli trying to escape the corner. And he runs into no man's land. A minute and a half remaining. One minute remaining here as the public address announcer just shared with us. And they score. That looked like a weird bounce out in front, and it was Michael Suppan from the blue line putting that one in past Billis. Kentucky back up 4-2.
And just a lot of sad faces. Again, it's only a 4-2 game here. Lots of time left, a full period. the Hoosiers have just got to get it back together. They're just not themselves, as I said all night, G. Mentally, looks like they're starting to pick it back up, getting offensive, and they've gotten a lot more physicality, but
that's the first goal of the season for Michael Suppan, his first point as he gets into the scoring column for the Wildcats this year. Big hit in the corner. Hawkins goes flying in there. Now body's getting hunched over. We're down to about 20 seconds remaining. Indiana trying to get a break. Icing waved off. Slavin gets slammed into the boards. And Hawkins down to about 10 seconds, I'd say. 3, and that'll do it for period number 2. Kentucky had a 2-1 lead at the end of the first, and it's now 4-2 Wildcats as we reach the end of 40 minutes. We'll be back for the third and intermission show here in a couple minutes on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network, and Sam Weixler will be back on the play-by-play for the third. We just saw an insane amount of shots on both ends that period, and Indiana going to have to rebound in the third. We'll be right back in a few minutes on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. I'm Andrew Gus, joining you live for the second intermission report. So far, the score shows 4 for the guys in all black tonight. That's the Kentucky Wildcats, and 2 for the guys in white. That is your Indiana Hoosiers. Shots so far in this game have been 26-36 in favor of Kentucky, while the Hoosiers do lead 27-18 in hits. Face-off have been about even, but if you look at the game so far, a breakdown, Sammy Billis has not been given much help so far on the defensive standpoint, as the Hoosiers have been a little bit sloppy in their own zone tonight. They've had a lot of turnovers. They've not gotten the puck out clean, and one of the things that's been one of the biggest killers has been the odd man rushes, something they've been not able to stop. Everyone's trying to get in the offensive zone, and it's not working so far. They were able to plug away from that lead a little bit there. Right when they got back into it, Kentucky got another one, and Kentucky up 4-2. The fans are back in it, Kentucky is, and the Hoosiers just do not seem to have their normal game. They've still got 20 minutes of fresh ice and lots of potential. We know the Hoosiers come down from worse before, so hopefully Coach Weiss can talk them up good and get them ready for period 3 of action. We'll have you back here on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network in just a few moments. I'm Andrew Gus on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
Well, after 40 minutes of physical contact and a whole lot of penalties, these two sides are back onto the ice, as announced loudly by the air horn over to our right-hand side. Sam Weixler alongside Garrett Drake, and GD, they've got a big air horn and an even bigger air pump to compress all of that air.
Yeah, it's quite the setup they've got right next to us. We feel right at home every time Kentucky takes the ice and every time Kentucky finds the back of the net, which hopefully we don't have to experience again for the rest of the night. But Indiana's got some work to do, and it's going to be an interesting final 20 minutes here before everybody falls sound asleep on their pillows as soon as they get back to the hotel.
I know my parents are probably asleep, a long drive up to Michigan. Garrett, they were playing some pretty good music in between stoppages and play. One of the songs they had was Call Me Maybe, and I think the referees must have the phone number for the score sheet over there. They've been calling up the scorekeeper constantly in that second period. Plenty of penalties to go around, some 5-on-3s, some 4-on-4s, a couple good old-fashioned regular power plays, and eventually it made the difference. Kentucky scoring with an extra man and a 4-on-4 as well.
They've taken advantage of their opportunities through the first two periods. Indiana just has to try to limit the amount of opportunities that they give to Kentucky, as you mentioned, with the power plays. And we're underway.
Indiana in white skating from near to far on your radio dial, so to speak. And the Kentucky Wildcats from far side to near. Both netminders have been spectacular in their respective cages on their far sides of the sheet. Some 5-alarm saves by both of them. Right in front, Billis, as we speak, kicks it away. And Michelli trying to lead a rush. Doesn't have numbers, so he'll loft it up into the air. And it sits on the windowsill and rolls halfway into the corner. There goes Simoneau charging in, rugby scrum, before it's finally freed from his grasp. He again chips it against the boards. Fed in front, DiLorenzo can't get to it, it was kicked away. McKay moving into the corner and throwing his body at it before a Wildcat scoots around him. Fake shot, DiLorenzo chips it up and it smacks off the chest of the man marking him. Holding the blue line, that's Slavin at the near point. And into the trapezoid. DiLorenzo behind the cage, looking for an option, bounces it against the boards. McKay tries to give and go, but instead it's picked off, rushing across the near side. Getting spun around is Brett Quinn. And Garrett, from this angle in the lighting, these jerseys are harder and harder to see for the Wildcats numbers. 18:45 to go here in the final period. Indiana trailing by 2 in game 1 of this two midnight game set. Indiana gets a quick change. And the puck shifted over toward the far corner. Slavin sliding in. And it toilet bowls over to the far side. Indiana trying to set something up, but unable to do so. And here come the Wildcats on a rush, all by himself, chasing after it. Icing waved off. That was D'Amico, who has already got 2 goals. And the puck chips up and out of play. Caught by Ethan DiLorenzo on the Indiana bench, saving Andrew Weiss a few medical bills, it looked like there. And so the clock stops at just 10 ticks over 18 minutes to play. Draw in neutral ice on our side of the sheet. The broadcasting side of the sheet, that is, Garrett. Eventually won by the Wildcats, and Indiana controls. Quarterbacking the offense is Griffin Timmons. He zigzags through the neutral zone and gets held up. Back to Goodfellow, who nutmegs his man, and it's fed over toward McDonald. 9-iron into the air, and icing is the call, as the linesman decided that Alec Rakitic was just a bit behind the red line for their liking. And Garrett, last weekend, we talked about the high-scoring affairs. A lot of action on the score sheet. Will Jeremy, 8 points in 3 games last weekend. That's almost 3 points a game for those of you who aren't a fan of quick math. And just looking at that list, it is an impressive output in such a short window. And now back on the ice after the face-off, we've got some pushing and shoving. Everybody aggressively agreeing, perhaps. And the clock at 17:38 with Indiana still trailing by a pair.
Yeah, McDonald got sent to the deck right there, and Jack Knoll came in to defend him. And it looks like Kentucky picks up a penalty. So it's going to be an Indiana power play.
Well, Indiana has struggled on the power play. That's no secret, Garrett. To start this season, they went 0 for 25 with an extra man on the ice. Now, normally when you're practicing the power play, in theory, it should go in every time because you got an extra guy out there. But obviously, that's not what happens in real life, and Indiana's going to have to figure out a way to rectify that. Right now, they're sitting at about 6%. Shot through traffic, bounces up and hits the ceiling, or maybe one of the rafters, holding a flag, and the clock stopping at 17.5. Last weekend, several guys were able to put themselves on the score sheet via a power play goal. McDonald had one, Jeremy had two, Michele a power play marker, as well did DiLorenzo. May sound like a whole lot of power play goals, although there were even more penalties to go around in a very physical weekend. Hoosiers back on the play. McDonald gets bounced against the boards in front of the Wildcat bench, and Whitliff charges in, smacking the puck against the bench. Clock will stop, and still Indiana on the power play.
Very important for the Hoosiers on this main advantage to just try to get the puck towards the net. They've already got a couple rebound goals in this game. Well, one of them was, rather. One of the two that they've scored. So just got to try to generate as many whacks at the puck as you can possibly get. Maybe one of them will go in.
Well, Garrett, it seems like a cliche and a catch-all for when a team's not playing well. You can often say, oh, they're just not playing their game. But in this case, it's kind of true. Indiana not really setting up the sustained attacks and not quite doing the things they usually do. On the attack, that's McDonald straddling the line and decides to hop over it as Indiana vacates and recharges in. Whitliff goes nearly head first into the boards. It looks like he's no worse for wear, but a little slow to get back to the bench. And the Wildcats will get a few more seconds knocked off of this power play. Under 17 to play in this frame. A crooked number separating these two sides. Kentucky 4 and Indiana 2. Gustafson zigzags between markers in the neutral zone. Rushing in, tries a backhand shot, but it wobbles off of his tape. Now looking for an option. Through traffic, kicked away. Allen never had to make a save. It went past his ear. Slavin pins the puck against the boards in the near corner. Some fancy stick handling in a matchbox in the corner again. McKay working it along the blue line. DiLorenzo thinks about it, back to McKay. A quick shot for McKay. High into the air, glove down by Castricani. Kicked along the side of the post and into the trapezoid. In the far corner now, McKay really digging in, doing the dirty work. McKay has absolutely evolved as a player, Garrett. Normally, last year, that would have been the job of Vladislav Krush, a grad student from Moscow, Russia, who was 6'3" and probably a little over 200 pounds, if that tells you anything about the style of play that he had. Now Matthew McKay, the one taking on those duties and doing it well. We've seen him get into a few scraps, but also he opened the scoring for this team for Indiana tonight.
And he knew that he was going to have to step up this year. The absence of Nathan Cesarski, another guy who held down the blue line for Indiana last year as well, and Cruz, you mentioned, going away. He used up all of his eligibility, so McKay really did a good job of just stepping up, and it looks like he has a bit of a leadership quality to him as well. He really controls the guys.
Off the face-off, the puck takes a bite out of the back leg of the linesman, and Indiana enters the zone. Kentucky now on the charge, unimpeded, a stick loose on the ice, and then McDonald gets smacked from behind as he still stays with the puck. Really throwing some shoves around. Indiana gains the zone. McDonald a shot through the trees and into the far corner. Timmons controls it, whips it along the ice. Somebody falls down, that was McDonald. A second chance, rushes around and rolls out of the bowl to stop the clock at 15-12.
Indiana with a few seconds left on their man advantage here.
Back on the action. Indiana gives up the puck to the Wildcats. Pushing in is Eastlak. He gets spun around, and Brandenburg was trying to rope the cattle. Had him wrapped up with both arms. Lofted high into the center of the ice, and finally it squirts out to the near corner. Timmons rushing in, and Brandenburg shoveling it away. from far to near. Gustafson deals it to Castricani, who's dealt a blow by Eastlack. The captain and fifth-year player, who might I add, still has a year of eligibility thanks to COVID. Shot by Goodfellow. Didn't get halfway to the cage, and now an odd man rush the other way. 4-on-2, zigzagging right in front of the cage. Billis puts his paw on it, and it's centered again. Unfortunately, the only man there to retrieve the puck after it was cleared was a Wildcat, and they have to cede the zone. Again, a long drive into the corner, and another stick still laying loose onto the ice. Brandenburg and Castricani caught up, 2 men in the same spot. And more hand fighting ensues along the boards. Rolled out into the center circle and pulled free for himself. Here we've seen a lot of back and forth hectic action, which is somewhat surprising after the number of shots on goal last period due to the sustained attacks. It was a deluge of shots from both sides.
Indiana still hasn't been able to register one here in the third. They had 20 last period.
A quick shot in front. Billis doesn't have to make a save. It was a deflection. Rule wraparound. Can't get the puck to turn the corner. Now to Leo Warner, rushing past the scorer's table. He gets sandwiched and then goes down head first as the puck careens into the crease. A quick jam job by Slavin. He ends up on his backside, and it's lofted to DiLorenzo at the point. He twirls around and then turns tail, surveying his options as his pocket is picked by Rule. Slashing at it, DiLorenzo forcing his man into the window before Kentucky can get a change. Indiana calling the plays. That's McKay at the quarterback. He's weaving through traffic and then steps in a quick shot just past the near side post. Kentucky gets the rebound and they'll head on a rush their own way. Off a quick bobble, here's Slavin again, a second chance. Good shot, doesn't hit the target. Slavin feeding to the McKay. A swing and a drive right into the chest protector of Riley Allen. And the first shot on goal for Indiana in this frame comes nearly 7 minutes in, Garrett.
Just haven't been able to sustain an attack, as we talked about, and here we go.
Well, Garrett, it's no secret that Indiana's had their struggles with penalty minutes so far, and experience is the best teacher, but in this case, it's been a bit of a downside for Indiana. Most of the guys in the penalty minutes category up at the top of it are veteran players who are coming back. Back in action, Kentucky on a drive. Sliding around right off the crossbar. Shot off the stick of Supan, who's already got 1 goal. And now some pushing and shoving along the blue line. Twirling around is LaRue. Back behind the cage. Firing it along. And it roulette wheels into the corner. Back and forth it goes. And jammed in front. LaRue's trying to center it to the backside. Couldn't find his man, and somebody gets squished up against the boards. That was Brett Quinn, who got absolutely plastered onto the window. Icing will be the call, and we've got a whistle and some pushing and shoving in front of the Indiana bench. 11:46 to go here in the third. Kentucky up by a pair after a very strong showing in that middle frame.
About halfway through the final period of play, unless we have overtime, Indiana spent a lot of time in their own zone. They've got to try to at least get it through neutral and make Kentucky retreat.
Indiana averages about 5.5 goals per game, and they have not done so tonight. Puck rolls over to Billis. He stomps on it like a little cat, and the clock freezing at 11.5. Well, Garrett, over to my right side, Andrew Gus, our assistant, is chuckling a little bit. But I have to say, after having a roommate last year that had a cat for a full school year, what Billis did kind of reminded me of the cat pouncing on top of a toy.
I can see it. I see no lies.
Whitliff rips it away from the Wildcat, and it ricochets across the ice. Icing waved off as O'Flaherty lays chase, and then throws a man into the boards. That'll be a delayed call that blows the whistle immediately. And again, Jack O'Flaherty will head to the sin bin to take a seat.
Well, we just talked about how experience was the best teacher. And his penalty minutes are going to read 33 on the season now.
Well, 11 and a quarter to go in this game, and just a reminder that clock on our screen is unofficial since we have no view of the one score in the arena. One scoreboard, rather. Face off to the stick side of Sammy Billis. Whacked across the ice by Will Jeremy. McDonald chasing after it. Has to throw on the brakes at the goal line and then gets rung up. He gets strung along the boards and then dumps a man into the corner. Kentucky running a set play now out of their own end. 5-on-4 power play for the Wildcats. And pushing it is D'Amico. He's been on fire this season and really his entire career for the Wildcats. Whitliff dumps a man and puck gets fired all the way down the sheet. 10 3/4 of a minute to go here in the third. Kentucky taking their time and playing patiently. Garrett, in a game like this where it's all back and forth and choppy, seems like it might make sense to slow things down and play your game. Quinn dumps it into the corner where it swirls around. Picked up in front and a jam shot from a sharp angle. That was D'Amico again. Always seems to have eyes for the puck. Fed to Eastlack down low. In the corner, back to the point. Quinn, a hard shot that goes straight into the stomach of Sammy Billis. And he's able to squeeze it shut with 10-11 to go here in the third.
Indiana's going to have to turn this game around quick if they want any hope of potentially forcing overtime here. Just no offense at all generated in this third period. Just one shot still, and we're halfway through.
Cortapella stepping into the dot against Castricani. Wildcats still on a power play. It almost looked like Mulkern lost the zone, but play continues in the attacking third for the Wildcats. DiLorenzo steps out of position and helps Hawkins win the puck back. Hawkins delivers a big hit, and a centering pass kicks off a leg and slides a good 100 feet in the opposite direction. Castricani trying to get to the bench, and he was held up. And another bit of a pushing match ensues. Still a 5-on-4 power play. 9:35 to go in the third. Fired, and that hits a spectator. Yikes. My goodness, Garrett, that was coming out fast and hit somebody in the chest, a security guard, I believe.
Yeah, those will wake you up as we approach 2 o'clock a.m. He appears to be all right. Looks like it's a photographer down there.
So after the puck flew out of play and smacked a spectator on the chest, play will resume at center ice. Still a 5-on-4 for the Wildcats. Timmons is dancing around in his own side. Puck slips off the tape and he doesn't get a really good look at it, but he's able to clear nonetheless. Back onto the sheet is Michelli. It's 5 aside. Rushing forward onto the near boards is Quinn. Has his eyes up, tries to pick his spot, but instead he's picked around. Chambers flicks it along the glass and into the corner below us. Goodfellow really digging in, trying to hold Eastlack back there. Now Chambers trying to make something happen. Looking for a pass, he finds his man, but it's poked and sails into the air. Helicoptered around for a second, and then Timmons again throwing on the reverse button. Fired across the ice. Icing is waved off, much to the dismay of Allen, who then has to slap his hand on top of it and stop the play with 8:40 to go here in the third.
Well, we talked about how crucial of a factor Gary Eastlack is in using all of his eligibility as well, and he still has another year. He's 8th all-time in career points at Kentucky. He does have the C on his chest as well, so he's an unsung leader for this squad. And there's no question we'll see a lot of him in this final 8:40 and tomorrow as well.
Indiana trailing by a deuce. 8 and change to go. Face off in Kentucky's side of the action. Won by the Hoosiers. It's poked around. And the Indiana boys dilly-dallied around with it a little too much. Moving the other way, Rakitic can't hold on to it. He gets a little shove. And Gustafson collects it along the blue line. Now rushing in, chasing it down and reaching out for it from behind. A great effort play by Mulkern. Errant pass goes all the way toward the blue paint, and Allen again sets his hand on top of it. Well, we talked about Riley Allen and how good he's been so far this season, unseating the guy who had a good number of minutes last year in between the pipes. Sam Tucker, 17 games played and an 11-7 record going into the postseason. This year, Tucker, just 2 starts. Riley Allen having 5, now 6, and the majority of the wins. McKay maneuvering back into his own end, twirls around and then gives it to Hawkins. Hawkins tries to hand it off, but it's poked against the boards. Scooped up, a quick shot. Billis stands in front of it. That was Quinn with a very strong wrister. All the way down the sheet, Slavin trying to make a move, but he's pushed away. Again, handed off to Jeremy. His shot in between Ben, and then McKay swinging a drive right into the chest, and it is swallowed up by Allen. Garrett, it seems there is no shortage of pushing and shoving from either side.
There's no way they just gave Slavin a penalty for that.
Well, Garrett, it looks like the scorer's table is going to have to get more ink for their pen, or a pencil sharpener maybe. Indiana averaging 13 penalty minutes per game, and when we see the score sheet, Garrett, I am almost certain it will read a whole lot more than just 13.
From what I saw, it looked like he was just trying to bat that puck out of the air. As it was on its way, he got tangled up a little bit with a Kentucky player down there, and that was really all it was.
Into the corner, hand fighting. Indiana back on their heels, although in a situation that they've really enjoyed, a 5-on-4 power play in the opponent's favor. 3 shorthanded goals so far this season, Garrett. We've said it plenty of times, although tonight, Wildcats have capitalized. Puck tried to be cleared. It was D'Amico standing in and taking the hit. Fed in front, right in front of the crease, bouncing off the post and scores! It's a hat trick for Gabe D'Amico. This kid is unbelievable. The junior from St. Charles, Illinois. Last year's League Rookie of the Year. Nets his 3rd of the night. And it is 5-2. Kentucky handling Indiana quite well in the first game of this 2-game series. 8:19 to go in the 3rd.
There's not much more you can say other than that, Sam. Gabe D'Amico has just been on fire today. A hat trick for him now. I'm surprised we didn't see any buckets come flying onto the ice, but it looks like some fans are heading towards the exits. They feel Kentucky has a comfortable lead.
Well, we've seen crazier things happen in the game of hockey, both in our games and on the television watching the big boys. And this is the T, Garrett. Anything can happen. Puck rolls around end over end into the corner. Rugby scrum, and it's yanked away. LaRue trying to center it. Trying a wraparound shot in front. Billis throws his hand in front of the puck and makes the save before Leo Warner is dragged down and then pushes his opponent's head into the ice. Fed in front, one-timer, swing and a miss. Heading up the other side of the ice, there's multiple players down. And now the whistle's been blown. It looks like Leo Warner alongside Mark LaRue will get a chance to head to the box for a timeout to sit and think. And it looks like it's just going to be a misdemeanor for both of them, Garrett.
Yeah, Warner and LaRue got tangled up in the near corner there and kept it going quite a bit after the whistle, and each of them got a couple good checks in, so they'll sit for a little bit, but looks like we're going to have a 4-on-4 here. I thought they might just keep it 5-on-5, but we're going to go 4-on-4, which may benefit Indiana. They haven't been able to generate anything on 5-on-5, so we'll see here.
Absolutely fair, Garrett. This is a Kentucky team that is not afraid to get in the mix and push around people, just as Indiana are. After the ensuing face-off with a bit under 8 minutes to go, now 6 minutes to go. The Wildcats on the charge. Moving into the attacking zone. Swiveling around. That's Supan. Centering pass that goes to no one in particular. Clears the zone. And Kentucky will have to regroup and try again. Dug out of his own end zone. McKay threads it forward to Slavin. Now a little odd man rush. Slavin a backhanded try. Goes to the far side. Hawkins a second effort right in front. Smacking at it is Slavin. And back behind the trapezoid. Sliding under the legs of D'Amico. Keeping his eyes up and looking for his options. No look. Sonk all the way through the roulette wheel. And to Hawkins, who collects it. Across the ice, here's Gustafson gaining the zone. Toe drag right in front, twists around, and his pocket is picked. Again, a one-man show stopped by the Wildcats. They've stymied Indiana on those odd man rushes, especially when Indiana doesn't have numbers. Garrett, a lot of the time, Will Jeremy's on the ice. He'll try to have those one-man rushes, and tonight things like that just haven't quite worked.
They haven't been able to break through at all, as you mentioned, and the couple times they have, Allen's held strong in the crease.
One-timer punched out of the air by the waffle board of Billis. Still 5-2 with 4:30 to go in this game. All the way across diagonally into the zone. Icing called, although McDonald was in the area. And folks not too pleased, but the clock will stop at 4:20 to go here in the final frame. A trio of goals, the separation between Indiana and Kentucky. A tough night at the office for the Hoosiers after a long bus ride.
No question about that, and it's going to be just as tough tomorrow. They're really going to have to make sure they prioritize getting plenty of sleep and resting up for that one. And then they'll hop right back on the bus and go back to Bloomington.
Here's Jeremy centering it. A backhanded shot by McDonald. He scores! Tommy McDonald, the sophomore, had a hat trick last weekend. 4 goals total in that 3-game set, and he has 6 on the season. What a backhanded scoop and score for T-Mac.
Well, Sam, there's the 4-on-4 that we were talking about right there. T-Mac on the 2-on-1. Able to shovel it home backhanded, and just like that, it's a 2-goal game.
McDonald's had a slow start to the season, but exploded as of late. He only had 2 points to show for himself in 8 games starting out this campaign. And then, as we mentioned, last weekend, he had 7 points, and he's got a tuck tonight. 5-3 the score. We are under 4 minutes to play. Somebody went down into the far corner like a sack of potatoes. It looks like that's Slavin still trying to slowly move around. Bounced along the boards and flicked free at the center line. D'Amico hands it off before it's stolen by Whitliff. Whitliff, one of the young defensemen on this team that has had a bigger impact offensively than we expected, Garrett. Another big hit as DiLorenzo sent his man into a pretzel, and now he's getting smacked around as the play continues on the near side. Hawkins rushing forward, nearly got lined up for the hit. DiLorenzo chopping his feet and turning back and forth. Gustafson makes himself skinny and tries to block the puck. Still a 2-goal margin as Cortapella holds onto the puck at the blue line and then fires it in, much to the dismay of his teammates changing. 3 minutes even to go here in the third period. McKay kicks it to himself and scoots right past the linesman before the man guarding him blew a tire. Indiana will have to vacate, and Hawkins decides to sling it in and toilet bowl around. Odd bounce. It didn't make it all the way around, and it bounced off the side of the cage. Now Jeremy moving in, trying to finish his check mildly, and McKay's backhanded pass finds a black sweater. Moving in his Rule. His centering attempt is thwarted, and the puck bounces nearly toward us. And the clock stopping at 2.5 in the third. Garrett, you and I talked about this pregame. This broadcast location is unique to say the least, just like everything else here at Kentucky Hockey. I feel more exposed right here and at risk of getting hit by a puck than we do at Dayton, and we are pretty much on top of the scorer's table when we play at Dayton.
Oh, yeah, we've already seen a couple spectators get hit in this one as well, so we're looking alive right here as McKay wears that one.
Yeah, as you said, Garrett, speaking of getting hit with the puck, McKay blocks one and feeds it to Castricani. He gains the zone and gets smacked in the back and turns around. Lifted into the air, Whitliff feeds to the far side. Hawkins gains entry and then gets bounced around himself. He tries to throw his skate blades along the boards, and the whistle's blown by the linesman on the far side. We could have an over and back, Garrett, with 2:09 to go. The net is empty for Indiana. Sammy Billis has vacated the crease.
Now he's coming back.
Although temporarily, as you say, Garrett.
If they win the faceoff, I'd expect him to head right back to the bench, but they do.
Just as you predicted, Garrett Nostradamus next to me. A big hit, and hitting his own man, Castricani went down after being smacked by Whitliff. McDonald sliding between men. Quick shot by Michelli. Snapper that goes wide and flutters through the air. Empty net for Indiana. Whitliff a shot deflected into the netting and flies up nearly past the Union Jack hanging from the ceiling. Clock frozen at 1:46 in period number 3.
I don't think 3 nets stacked on top of each other could have stopped that shot from going over. That one was way up there.
Well, at least the shot went in that direction and not toward us.
Barracuda. It's that late.
It absolutely is. It's slap happy hour, Garrett. Face-off won by the Wildcats. Empty net. And pushing forward is D'Amico. He's already got 3 goals. Trying to give it to a teammate instead, but runs out of real estate. Indiana might have another rush in him. Michelli swings at it, baseball bat style. And DiLorenzo feeds it back toward Warner. Warner circling the wagons, and Indiana trying to regroup and set up some form of organized attack. Flanking maneuver as McDonald gets spun around by both sides. Eastlack chips it up into the air, and Whitliff touches it to himself. Along the boards, between the legs of McDonald, and sailing high over the empty net for an icing. That shot was about 1.5 feet from the crossbar and stops the clock at 1 minute and 4 seconds. So just about 60 ticks left for Indiana to make something happen, and they'll do so with 6 skaters on the ice.
Yeah, the PA announcer during that last attack said 1 minute, so there should be a few ticks under a minute to go now. Net's still empty.
Sailing along the sheet, bouncing off the crossbar, as close as you can get. And Indiana still has a little bit of life and a little bit of daylight. Indiana gains the zone, but Slavin was dragged across the line by the Kentucky defenseman, and he is not thrilled about the way that call was made.
Yeah, it looked like he got tangled up and pulled into the zone there, and I agree with him there, but it's been a frustrating night in terms of the calls that Indiana's gotten against them, and they're definitely not happy about it.
Well, talk about puck luck. An empty netter off the post, an empty netter that sails just over the crossbar, and an empty netter attempt by Gabe D'Amico. It would have been his 4th goal of the night, but instead he runs out of room and has to look for a teammate before the pass was intercepted. McKay trying to set up shot behind his own cage. Still empty, all the way across the width of the zone. Gustafson charging in, and that's how this one comes to a close. Kentucky on taco night takes down Indiana 5-3, the final score from the Lexington Ice Arena. Shots on goal in that frame 8-4. A very slow period as far as shots are concerned. We'll take a quick break and gather all of our notes and our thoughts and bring you the post-game show in just a moment. Alongside Andrew Gus and Ray Myers on the camera. Garrett Drake, my color commentator. I've been your play-by-play broadcaster, Sam Weixler, saying so long. Thank you for tuning in to Indiana Hockey on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
I join you back here live for a post-game after the Indiana Hoosiers just fell to the Kentucky Wildcats by a final score of 5-3. Hoosiers not giving their best effort tonight. Luckily tomorrow they have an opportunity to bounce back, come back bigger, better, faster, stronger, and hopefully take down that Wildcat team that brought out a lot of courage, a lot of pride, and a lot of energy tonight, along with their fan base on taco night. Sammy Billis did not get much help from his defense, and the Hoosiers really did not get much offense going. As I said, 5-3 the final here. We'll be back at 12 p.m. midnight for a puck drop between the Hoosiers and the Wildcats tomorrow evening. For your crew, Sam Weixler, Garrett Drake, I have been Andrew Gus on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. Take care and go Hoosiers.